A massive tariff rollback with China is your top DC daily headline for Monday, May the 12th. So breaking news this morning, the U.S. and China cutting tariffs by more than 100%. For now, starting on Wednesday, U.S. tariffs on China slashed from 145% to 30%. China tariffs on U.S. imports cut from 125% to 10%. That 90-day rollback starts on Wednesday with the hope that the next 3 months will lead to negotiations for a new trade deal. Wall Street really liking this announcement. Pre-market trading on Wall Street up 800 points for the Dow before the opening bell. And this morning, President Trump will sign an executive order to cut prescription drug prices. He announced on social media that the move would lower what Medicaid pays between 30 to 80%. After reversing former President Biden's drug cost cuts, President Trump says these cuts will begin almost immediately, with other countries paying higher prices to cover the cuts. The pharmaceutical industry, though, expected to push back against the changes. And the last known living American hostage in Gaza is set to be released at any moment in hopes of establishing a ceasefire in the Middle East and allow for humanitarian aid deliveries, as Gaza is now on the verge of a famine. Hamas announcing plans to release Adnan Alexander on Sunday, who was captured during the October 7th attack on Israel. He will be the first hostage to be released since Israel broke the ceasefire in March. The United States and China rolling back tariffs significantly for the next 90 days.
Doug Luzader is live in Washington this morning with the developments from overnight. We're seeing good news for the markets, Doug.
Good morning. This happened very quickly over the weekend as talks between the two countries move forward in Switzerland. And then early this morning, the U.S. negotiating team made a big announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent breaking the news this morning. With U.S. ports slowing down and fears of shortages on store shelves, the U.S. team announced a breakthrough.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause.
A 90-day pause on tariffs that had all but shut down trade between the U.S. and China. This deal lowers U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%. And tariffs from China on U.S. goods drop from 125% to 10%.
But more importantly, leaves us in a constructive path forward to have a positive conversation with the Chinese.
President Trump has long championed tariffs, especially with China, to help even the global playing field. But his moves have fueled inflation and recession fears. As talks progressed through the weekend, Democrats remained skeptical.
Sure, I'm glad they're talking, but they have assessed 10% to 25% tariffs on our allies, the very people that we would need, our friends and allies, in order to deal with China. So to me, they've been approaching this all upside down.
But much will depend on both countries following through in the weeks ahead.
You have to have, as Reagan used to say, trust but verify. So they might write down a deal on a piece of paper and sign it, but you have to make sure that it is enforced and that they don't cheat.
Now, the markets quickly reacted to this overnight, breathing a sigh of relief, but this is still just a temporary deal as talks continue over the next 3 months or so. Back to you guys.
Okay, Doug Luzader in D.C. with that big news this morning. Thank you.